Greetings hobbyists, this is Artisans of All, and in this video we're going to have a look at how quickly we can design and 3D print some wargaming bases. So here's the situation. A while ago I designed some mechanical spiders and I need some bases to put them on. And the original plan was just get some 40mm bases, get some textured plasticard that sort of looks like stone ruins, and put them together and make some bases. But I only have 4 40mm bases. I've no idea where the rest of them have gone, but I need 6. So I've got 2 options. I could order some. That's going to probably take about a day to arrive, and it is about 8 o'clock now, so about 24 hours would be how long this would take to arrive if I can get next day delivery, which at the moment with the UK post services are unlikely. Or I can try and design them myself and see if I can do it faster. Now, I've not designed this in a sort of Top Gear style where I'm fixing the time and it's going to be really close. If it was, that'd be quite cool. But I just thought it'd be interesting to see how long it actually takes to make, set up and print some bases. So, let's go. Hi everyone, so I'm going to be voiceovering this obviously, it's going to be vastly sped up. I'm going to talk through the basic ideas of what I'm doing and things that you might want to look out for. And I'll reference any tutorials that I've covered how to do the things that we're doing in this. So if you want to go and check those out, then you definitely can, and all the links will be in the description. I've got the timer in the bottom right hand corner as well, so you can see how quick this is being sped up. And keep an eye on how long this took overall. So we're starting with making the basic bricks, or paving stones. This is going to be your classic paved gothic bases, but with a bit of a twist. I want to have some mechanicum elements in there as well, just because it adds a bit of variation, and the idea that you're going to have these huge just paved areas doesn't seem very 40k to me, and that's what these bases are being built for. So all I'm doing is setting up some arrays to be those paving stones, and I'm actually doing this in a slightly slower way than you can do, following a tutorial that I've got on how to make bases, and it's really good for beginners. It goes through all the basics of Blender, so if you haven't used it before, as long as you've mastered the user interface and how to move around, this will do everything for you. Now I've also brought in some bases. I have those saved as an asset file. I'll chuck those up on the Patreon, so if you do want those, come and join the Patreon. But again, I cover how to make that on that base tutorial. Now I've got a 40mm base, which is the smaller one, and a 100mm base as well, because I want to be able to use this for a night force, so I want to make sure that I can use these bases, or there's enough space to make bases for my armigers later. And as we go through this, you're going to get the idea that, yeah, I do have a tendency to vastly over-engineer things. This probably could have been done in maybe half the time that I actually took, maybe even less, if I just stuck to the basic 6 bases that I wanted with some very minor details. But I wanted this to look good, and I wanted to be able to use it in the future for a lot of different basing. So I've actually made this pretty massive. So we'll start picking up the pace a bit here. And what I'm doing is cutting out a groove into this just using simple booleans. I'm spending a bit of time making sure that all the sizes of this are accurate, so it's consistent. And this is where I'm going to be running some piping, basically some power conduits, just to add some of that first mechanicum detailing. To help with the positioning here, I've used the add-on Quick Snap. It's free, but in Blender 4 it would be possible to use Snap Base. But in this instance, Quick Snap was probably a little bit more helpful for this. Then I'm just going to make a duplicate of this and move it to another part of the base so we can have it occurring in several places. And when I make those larger bases, there'll be some variations on the same theme. And this is where sometimes over-engineering things is actually more efficient. It means that I can copy elements that I've taken the time to make with very little effort, and that just makes things a little bit more efficient on a bigger scale. It was at this point that I decided that I'd actually add in some piping as well, like some larger sewage piping or something that would be containing a lot of electrical conduits or some sort of fluid. And I wanted to have places for those to be placed. So I'm doing a similar thing of cutting out some larger cubes, and then I'm going to add in some sections that will be metal, and for that I need some rivets. So I'm just going to use geometry nodes to be able to really quickly set up some rivets. Again, there's a link in the description for that. It makes your life a lot easier and faster, and I can reuse that geometry node setup, especially in Blender 4 where you can bring geometry nodes into other files. Now these pipes are going to be too big again to fit on those 40mm bases. It's just over-engineering, so I can use them in the larger bases. So again, something that's just adding time here, but in the long run it's going to save me time because I don't have to redo this when I want to make larger bases again. At this point we're well under half an hour in, and damn, my posture is awful. I knew it was bad, I never knew it was quite that bad. I'm going to be like a hunched over cripple by the time I'm 50. Maybe time to invest in a new chair. Anyway, moving on, what I'm going to do is just select some stones and then raise them up in this section. I'm going to be using this to make some stairs. So I'm going to do this for 6 rows, that way I can do 2 rows of the paving per each step. which is a bit wide for stairs, but it gives a chance to put larger models on those steps, and I'm definitely going to want to include one of these in the bases. For the spiders, just to add a bit of height interest. I'm also adding a bit of a lip, just to give it a little bit more interest, and something for when I'm painting is just going to be a bit more interesting, because the light or the shade underneath it will catch, so it'll just make everything a bit more fun to look at. Finally, until I start to add some more detailing later, I'm going to add in some sides to the steps. This is just going to cover off the fact that we've made this from paving stones so they don't have even edging and almost hide that. But also for the larger bases where these are shown, it's going to make the steps feel more integrated into the scene that this base has been cut out of. And as I'm doing here, I really do recommend if you're going to make bases, you sort of make this larger scene that you cut them out of. It gives a much nicer flow, and also it just seems to tell a bit more of a story, at least in my opinion. So now we're 30 minutes in, and I've gone full Hunchback of Notre Dame, but we can see this scene is coming together quite nicely. I've got all the basic aspects set out and everything lined up the way that I want it to be, with some nice empty spaces, as well as some that are going to have more detail. Speaking of detail, or in this case pointless detail, because it's not on the smaller bases, I'm going to start adding in the pipes now. I do that adding in some points using just a mesh, just as a quick way to get an overall shape. Convert them to curves, make them thicker, and then I make the detailing where it looks like the pipes are being connected together. I then use a nice trick with cable rater, again link in the description, to help move those fluidly across the pipe without having to line everything up and it being really tedious. It's a really nice quick way of doing it. And then make a copy of that pipe and those arrays, and then set that up on the other one as well, so we've got multiples of this detailing. Again, it's just going to give some continuity across those bases when I have multiple bases for the knights, and several of them have different pipes in different positions and combined with other details, so you can tell it's not just me copying the same single detail twice. Back to the stairs now, and we're just adding in some metallic edging to those side sections. The idea being to integrate the mechanicum or industrial sections with this sort of paved bit. And to keep with that theme, I'm adding in the similar riveting that we've got elsewhere on all those parts, which will probably be painted a rusted sort of iron colour. And having those rivets will give something that dry brushes well as it's raised, and then any washes to be the rust will go around those rivets really nicely, just to enhance that detail and give it something that's recognisable but still relatively quick to produce, both from a 3D design point of view and from a painting point of view. Finally, at least for the larger detailing, I'm going to be making these power conduits. These are going to be much more prominent on the 40mm bases and included in quite a few of them, because I think it's the bit that's going to set them apart from just being the standard paving base. I've already added a slight lip around the stones for these, just again to make them a bit more interesting when you're doing things like dry brushing. But these are being relatively simple to make. They're just a series of boxes with a bit more of a complicated one on the corner. Again, I'm going to use the rivets to make those boxes look like they're some sort of metal. And then I'm going to use exactly the same trick as I did for the piping to allow me to control the detailing and where it's going to be on those conduits, and I've used a number of mirrors just to make that easier, so I only have to make this once. In terms of taking this forward, what I'd probably do at this point is make sure some of those detailing, like the boxes and then the conduit cables or the detailing of those cables, is copied into the asset browser. That will allow me to use this again in the future and just tie everything in. Now, I don't want to go through this bit too quickly. It's one of the more fun parts of the base, even though there's not that much to talk about while I'm doing it, so I won't make this section quite as quick. But it's actually, with the exception of that cable rater function, nothing more than some relatively standard use of Blender's basic functions, just to bring in details that look interesting, but are still going to show up nicely in terms of the thickness of a 40mm base. And I have been trying to pay attention to that thickness. You'll notice that a lot of the paving is actually way thicker than it needs to be. That's because I'm going to add in a section later to take some of that off. The reason I'm doing that is we're going to use an add-on to add in some chipping. But obviously I don't want that chipping on the bottom to cause problems. And by adding that thickness, I can basically just chop off the bottom where that detailing will still be, so that we only get the detailing on the top. Now, after about an hour and a half, that's pretty much all of the detailing done in any major way. Now I need to go on to the really small detailing that's just going to make those bases a little bit more interesting. This is probably something you could do after you printed it out, like doing it manually, but I thought the whole point of this is to try and take this about as far as I can. There's one limitation to that, and I'll come to that later, and my thought process behind that. I'm now going to start using an add-on called Cracker to start putting all the little cracks into the individual paving. I've done a video on this recently, and honestly, this probably saved me easily in the region of maybe 1 or 2 hours off the time that this would have taken to do this manually. this can be a really slow process without some sort of add-on to help you with it. And to be honest, without this add-on, I'd have had some serious second thoughts about doing this on the computer instead of doing it manually afterwards. I'm also later going to go on to use one-click damage to add in all the minor chipping. It's made by the same creator, and they do have a discount if you want to get both of them. Again, links are in the description to the add-ons as well as the videos. But for me, this really adds in an extra level of detail that's going to make these bases interesting. It's going to catch everything when I do my dry brushing, and it just makes everything look a little bit more lived in. And I think that's really important for basing. It really gives the miniatures that you're adding to them some sense of reality, especially when you're dealing with something that's going to be relatively sci-fi. You want to know that they're in a world, and this is a nice way to do that. Now at this point I'm just bringing in some background that's going to be making up the main body of the base, effectively what I'm going to add all of these bits of paving to. I like to set this up now because it's quite useful when using one-click damage to be able to see really clearly if you've put the damage on different stones, because I'm going to be picking them at random to do 2 different types of damage just to give a bit more variation in the wear and tear. If it wasn't for that, I'd probably be doing this bit last, just before I start booliening everything together. That's covered as one of the tips in the one-click design video. At this point I'm going to start adding in some time jumps to the video. I wasn't originally planning on doing this, and I made an edit of this where this was all just sped up footage so you could see this from the beginning until end. But not wanting to make this too long, the speeding up of the footage at this point for this section where I'm just doing the same thing repetitively but jumping from place to boolean things together, it actually made me feel quite motion sickness when I re-watched this back to check that it was okay. And I don't want to do that the same for you. The rest of the video I could cope with, but this bit was just a bit much. So instead of making this video stupidly long and boring you, what I'm going to do is just show you sections of what I'm doing so you can get the idea of what it is. The timestamp's still accurate so you can get a good idea of how long this took. And do let me know what you think of this approach in the comments, just in case this either worked for you or didn't work for you, because this is the first time I've done a video like this. Now at this point I will give us a little bit of a heads up. If you are using this add-on, and it is absolutely amazing, it is going to save me so much time in this process, you do need to limit the amount of objects that you do this with in one go. So for me, realistically, I got this up to about 20 to 25 that I found was a fairly safe amount without it causing an error. And it did seem to make a difference which of the stones I was selecting. I'm going to be honest, I don't know exactly why. And from a little bit of experimenting, anecdotally, it seems the more powerful your computer, the more you can do this with at the same time. On my laptop, which is less powerful, I can generally do this for about 15 objects at a time. But it is something to be aware of, and I did save this very regularly as I went through, just in case Blender would crash. But even with that in mind, as I say, this makes this vastly faster as a process, and doing this manually would have taken hours and hours longer to try and sculpt this in. And you end up with a hell of a lot more geometry because you're going to be remeshing the object that you're doing this for, whereas one-click damage leaves this with as minimal amount of extra vertices and faces as it can do while putting in this texture. And finally adding a little bit of damage on the stairs or the edge of them and the metalwork there, and we're done with the sculpting. Now it's just bringing everything together. Originally I was going to boolean everything together for this, but I quite quickly realised that by making this project quite so large, this wasn't going to give a very realistic view of how long this aspect of the process takes, and booleaning things together and making sure the mesh is correct does take time. It is one of the more boring but required bits of Blender if you want to make sure that this is going to print out right in the way you intended. So because of that, I changed on to the idea of just making copies of the bits that are relevant to each base. So you can see me putting the bases in place and then making duplicates of all of the background and stones that are relevant to each of those bases, and then I'll be booliening those together instead, as it's going to make overall less work for these individual bases. Later on I'm going to come back to this and boolean everything together to make it easier for me making multiple base types. So I'll make some 28mm, 40mm, 50mm, 100mm, and maybe even some night oval bases out of this. And there should be more than enough space to allow that, without it like quadrupling the amount of time that it's going to take. It just didn't seem fair when I set this out as trying to make 6 bases. Now at this point we've ended up with our individual bases, and hopefully we'd agree they're looking fairly nice. They've got this paved area, but with the additional details and industrial aspects that we wanted. But at this point, we're pretty much done. So I just need to start setting these up as bases, so that's going to involve saving them individually. Now I do try something a little bit interesting here. This is more for just trying something out. I wanted to extrude just a tiny amount of the outer edge of each base, with the idea that I can sand this off and it's going to give a much sharper edge to the base. And you'll see later that this actually worked really nicely, and it only added about 30 seconds per base to shave this off afterwards, if that. so really worth the time to get those nice base edges that are really crisp. If you've made it this far, well done. Thank you for spending the time watching this video. We're on the final stretch here, just setting up the supports for all these bases, having checked them already using 3D Builder, which is a process I always find really worth the time because it means you're not going to get any errors. Now at this point we've taken about 4.5 hours on this, and is that longer than it would take to manually make these bases? Yeah, I think it probably is. At least if you're going to make them simply, just using some stone and then sort of cutting some different bits of plastic miniatures into it. I think this is going to give a nicer, more uniform feeling to these bases, and because we did this as a larger project, it's going to mean they're really reusable. It's going to give my army a really nice coherent feel, one that I can replicate. And while yes, making 6 bases would take less than 4.5 hours, if I then go on to make all the other bases I plan to from this scene, I think I've definitely saved some time, so it depends on what you want to commit here. Now the thing that I haven't added to these bases that I mentioned earlier is any debris. You could definitely add small little stones and rocks using Blender, and if I was making some scenery it would probably be worth doing, but when you're going to be adding miniatures to a base, I tend to find this causes more problems than it's worth. It's vastly easier just to add some sand and debris later, not because it's quicker, which it probably is quicker as well, but mostly because it then hinders you putting miniatures down where you want their feet to be, as having these small stones 3D printed means that you generally get these models that look like they're floating a little bit. And that never looks great, and you can see that in some bases that you can purchase that are made of resin. They've just got so much debris they become really annoying, though don't get me wrong, they do look great as bases by themselves. Do let me know what you think of this format, especially this speeded up section with me talking over the general ideas. Was this too fast? Was it too slow and meandering? Do you want more like this so I can show off some larger projects and how they're made, or would you rather just have those shorter videos looking at one particular aspect? Do let me know, because I want to have the channel as useful for you as possible. So it's about 1 o'clock and we started this at 8, so about 5 hours worth of total time to get this done. Add to that, the slicer says this is going to print in about 2 hours and 10 minutes, so we've got a total of 7 hours and 10 minutes-ish to get these bases sorted. Obviously there's a tiny amount of cleanup time as well to add to that, but that's barely anything. Now this has been set up to print at 50 microns, so I'm going to be printing this on my old Anycubic Mono X. Out of interest, I'm also going to set this up on my Mini 8K, which prints at 20 microns. Now that's got a massively longer print time, but 15 hours 30 minutes. Bring us to a total of about 20 hours and a half. Now, obviously, that 15 hours I'm not going to be doing anything, it's just going to be printing in the background and I'm going to go off and do something else. But if you haven't got a 3D printer, it gives you an idea of the variation of what you can do. So let's go and have a look at how these bases came out. So here are the 50 micron bases, and well, I'll let you decide on what you think of them. I'm really happy with how they look. I think they've got enough variation. I mean, this cost in terms of money almost nothing to print for the resin, so it's definitely cheaper than buying bases like this already, and I can make many more of them. I think the chipping, the cracking and the texturing looks really nice. Adding some sand to this is going to add a little bit more variation, and I can add a few bits of larger debris as well. I've also added some magnet holes in the bottom just so I can stick these on ferrous sheets for transportation. I generally prefer that than using foam anyway. But let's go and have a look at how the 20 micron bases turned out as well. Now, even with the longer print times, I think these are just nicer. As expected with the 20 micron layer height, they've just got much sharper details. Neither of the prints have any prominent layer lines on them, but here there's just none. I can't really see anything at all. Though even on the 50 micron ones, I think as soon as you've sprayed some undercoat on that, they wouldn't be visible. Just if I have a choice, I generally go for a 20 micron print. Also, these have got a little bit of the tenacious resin in them, so they've got the most slightest amount of flex, which means that they're less likely to break or chip if, let's say, I drop them. So there we go, a set of bases comfortably in under 24 hours. I think you probably care more about the sculpting time than anything else, but I just thought it was interesting to see. As always, if you found the video useful, please do hit that like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, let me know in the comment section what you think of this format, and if you do want these bases, they are available on the Patreon. Have a great day, guys.